Hello everyone, and welcome back to RPG Limit Break. Tonight we are excited to present to you another wonderful race from Week 2 of the 2019 Dragon Warrior Randomizer Tournament. This race will feature two runners who dropped their first round matchup, arriving here with an 0-1 record, and furiously hoping to bounce back today and stay in the mix for a playoff spot later in the tournament. Tonight we will have Vanivan against AliGerBrap. Vanivan is a proud father, a staff member for Retro Gaming Live TV, and a retro RPG speedrunner. He lost his first round matchup against Silverfire by less than a minute. And AliGerBrap is an avid sports fan, participating in association football and sports trivia games, involved in the Final Fantasy Randomizer community, as well as playing and often tracking races for our Dragon Warrior Randomizer community. He lost his first round matchup against Thirwolf, also by less than a minute. So two competitive runners colliding tonight. Joining me this evening is my excellent co-commentator, the Seawolf1. How's it going tonight?
Not bad. Been shuffled around a bit. Now I'm on the microphone. So, as you said, all the races we're having are very close. So it's been no real blowouts. It's been a real battle to the end. So one straight luck there, lucky chest, or lucky runaway can make the difference to any of these races.
Yeah, either one of these runners could have been 1-0 coming into Week 2. They were both involved in very close races. So it's interesting that they ended up getting matched up together. So it feels like this could be a very competitive matchup tonight.
We'll see with the low stats they go. A chance for a magic spell. Actually, I've hurt more. I take it back. They'll find something blow it up and gain levels. So yes, this will be a fast start.
Sneak peek at level 1 Hurtmore. Oh my goodness. Yeah, we're in for a treat. We'll see how much they can sprint through covering the map. Sometimes it's hard to even keep up with how fast you can make progress when Hurtmore is involved. So our tracker tonight, Z-Man, has some work cut out for him in the first 5 minutes. It's a battle of the big Z's. Strength and HP will be emphasized towards the end of the race.
Alrighty, I see countdown going on. So we should go to live action. Get your stuff, get outside, get the zone 2 or zone 3 and blow something up.
Yeah, and they could even start with more things in the throne room to help them out. So we're about to find out. Alright, well, we do have double gold to work with. It's not really that important to find a town to spend that money when you have the Hurtmore going on, but yeah, just 9 strength and 8 agility. They're going to want to emphasize the Hurtmore. Just 8 MP to start, so that's one single casting. You want to pick an enemy that's going to give you a level here right away. So AliGerBrap into the forest and finds a wolf. A perfect Hurtmore enemy, does not get ambushed, and that's going to be several levels, jumping probably to level 4 here. See if Vanivan can have some equal luck on the first encounter. No, it's a red slime.
Yeah, Vanivan staying close to the castle, which could be a problem. There we go. Gets a little farther away.
So interesting play. AliGerBrap, only having the one casting of Hurtmore, no longer has that ability until we refresh the MP. So going straight back into the castle, talking to this old man who will flash the light here, and he will have 35 MP to work with now. Potentially 7 castings of Hurtmore, and we also have Healmore now in one of these early levels. So off to the races is AliGerBrap, while Vanivan does finally find something to get him to, I believe, level 3.
And Hawk's Nest is right to the west, which is going to be a really interesting fight. AliGerBrap decides to explore with Healmore and Hurtmore. Yeah,
sometimes you got to be careful here because still on these early levels, he only has 17 agility here on level 4. So it's tempting to go and find an Axe Knight or an Armor Knight or something, but chances are you're going to be ambushed and things aren't going to work out the way that you expect. So both runners, I kind of like what they're doing here, sort of taking their time to find these medium enemies with the Hurtmore. They know they're going to one-shot them. I like that plan. not rushing into the Spike Tile and Hawksness just yet.
Up to including the Magi Wyvern, Rogue Scorpion, Knights usually die in one hit as well. Axe Knights can die in one hit. So that mid-tier, you can swing way above your weight class to hurt more, and most things will die in one shot.
You see AliGerBrap taking a couple of swings with the melee attack against the Jakima just to kind of test out his strength, doing about 4 or 5 damage to a Jakima, so he's able to take it down without burning any hurt mores there, but see what he gets here for level 5. Just 2 more power, so they're not going to be hitting too hard with their fists just yet. They're going to rely heavily on the magic in the early going.
Okay, we're seeing Radiant and Stop Spell, and Baby Hurt. So you have options now to not go crazy on a Magi Wyvern, or Magi Drake, I should say.
Wow.
Like the tier 2 enemies can now be killed by Hurt as well.
Yeah, that's nice. You can conserve a little MP by using Hurt when necessary. And AliGerBrap managed to get away from a Stoneman, wasn't ambushed and wasn't blocked. But we are seeing Star Wyvern and Blue Dragons around now. Star Wyvern, sometimes you can get it with a Hurt more. But again, with these low agility scores in the early levels, you're just as likely to get ambushed in one shot at this point. So you gotta be a little careful. But at the same time, you don't want to be too careful. You want to go find something to gain some levels. So it's a little tricky sometimes, starting with Hurt more to get it just right. Rogue Scorpion is perfect here for AliGerBrap. And this is closing in on yet another level. Very close already.
Yeah, Rogue Scorpion in the generic game is the overall enemy that's the strongest enemy you can face that will still die to a Hurt more guaranteed.
And did not get ambushed by the Star Wyvern and does one-shot it. It's less than 50-50 to one-shot it. So we've had some early good luck for AliGerBrap. And first to level 6, I believe that is, putting a little bit of an experience lead together, and they both find this town simultaneously. Welcome to Garenham, and AliGerBrap still has a little bit of money from only dying once so far, I believe, and is able to afford the large shield right away, while Vonivon's going to have to settle either for the club or the chainmail, or maybe the nothing here.
Or neither, and say, I'll kill 3 enemies and get this back.
We'll watch and see if they both equip or don the Dragon Scale for another +2 defensively here. Haven't seen it yet for AliGerBrap, but coming soon, maybe.
We're seeing Vonivon spend more time in the town, getting more herbs.
Man, another Rogue Scorpion. That's going to be almost level 7. One more small kill, and this looks to be a dead end up here to the northeast. Even this Druid would give him the level, so... Very quick start for AliGerBrap. Nice experience lead now, and the large shield's going to help to take like no damage from things like this Druid now.
Druid is one of the weaker enemies found underground. It's one of the, I'd say, a tier 2 enemy in this game. But being level 7, the agility boost and the large shield, not a threat unless it knows a surprise ability we'll find out later.
Yeah, they can be found in the secondary zones, north, south, east, or west of Tantegel. So yeah, like you said, they're not one of the wimpiest enemies, but they're kind of like the second tier. And Armored Knights have hurt more in this one, and there's an example. See, Vonivon still only has 17 agility, so you're very likely to get back attacked when you run into a monster like that. You think, ooh, this is a hurt moreable enemy, but if you get one shot, it doesn't help you very much. So. What is this?
AliGerBrap is not pleased by his level gains.
Yeah, it didn't get too much stats on level 7 apparently. Very nice.
Alright, Vanny heads back outside.
It feels like we have big swamps to traverse kind of in a few different directions, so we're going to have another one here, but you know, they do have the Heal More spell, so it's kind of no problem at this point. There's a little way out over here to the east through these hills.
Again, it seems extreme for the swamps in this game, but if you play vanilla, there's literally a continent of swamp, so there's plenty of swamp to draw upon to make the map.
So here's another play where Vonivon is going in a little bit early into Hawksness, and the Wizard is going to be still tough to get away from. Of course, they have hurt more resistance. See if he even makes it over to the Spike Tile. There's always a chance you could get first strike here, and it could be something good like an Axe Knight or an Armored Knight. Oh my goodness, but it does back attack. Oh, Axe Knights have hurt!
Oh, it's like a fireball, but smaller. I take it back, they have heal more.
Oh, no. And that makes it tough because... Oh, but it's not a high percentage heal more. He's able to get it with successive hurt more attacks here. The second one will never take it down after it heal more, because it heal more is up to max 67 HP. But it declined to heal more a second time. So Vonyvon has a chance to search the spot here early. And gets a nice level jump as well. And we have...
We have the token. So not thrilling, but definitely required.
Oh, it's Erdrick's token.
You want the armor. You really want the armor, but you need that too.
Erdrick's tease, as said in chat, and Tilo Tilo, thank you, yes.
Look how
Oftentimes
shiny it
I
is.
see that and I'm like, oh, it's the armor. No, it's the token. And another level up for AliGerBrap. He's just cruising through these early enemies. Level 8 already. Picking up some HP. We're almost out of the danger zone for a Dragon Lord 2 breath now. Right on the borderline.
Yeah, we're seeing now, especially going on now, with the Hawk's Nest spot now taken, there's coal, there's the map, the armor. So the armor might become a problem later on.
So here we have another cave for AliGerBrap. If so chooses, he will go and investigate, see what we have here. Sometimes using the hurt spell against some of these smaller enemies like the skeleton, just to preserve a little bit of extra MP, see if he could stretch it out so that he can make those hopscotches from one town to the next, try and find the next inn and then the next inn, while making further progress on the map. But first we have this cave here. They do have Radiant.
AliGerBrap has Swamp South, and Vonyvon has a life and death struggle with the Metal Slime, which finally flees.
And of all the spells that we do have, Outside is not one of them, so he'll have to walk through this the long way if he wants to see what's on the other side. May or may not check the spike tile en route. And Vonyvon, yeah, he's got a big open area here with almost no resources left. Back to the castle he goes for another cod. He's had a handful more deaths so far than AliGerBrap, as we can see with the cod counter.
AliGerBrap's luck with the, not pursuing the more dangerous enemies for sure, and having some luck in the overworld. But AliGerBrap's running out of resources, so even they had Outside, they cannot use it right now. They're at 6 MP.
Yep, and unable to one-shot the werewolf, but werewolves have stop spell, so we've seen a few Charlock enemies kind of on the tamer side, Seawolf.
Yeah, Charlock, for the last few ones I've seen been nasty. This one might be a pretty simple dive, barring dragons being really, really angry. And managed to tame down that werewolf.
That Hawk's Nest tile with the Axe Knight that has hurt, that could be something where you might want to stick around there for a little while. Now, it's, you know, the rest of the map doesn't seem very challenging, so I suppose you gotta make progress while you can, but, I mean, you can get a few quick levels right there if you wanted to.
Certainly, it's right by the castle, so go there, fight till you're out of gas, die, and walk back a minute later. Easy peasy.
So AliGerBrap's going to take a little peek over at the second continent with very limited resources now. Can't really fight too many of these enemies. We see that the strength score is still pretty low. Neither of them choosing to buy a weapon yet. I don't know if there even was one available in that first town, so... 40 attack power is like, maybe you can take on this Spectre, but he's choosing just to see how far he can explore. Maybe there's an inn right around the corner that'll rescue him, you never know.
Vonyvon heading, looks like west again. Trying to make some progress. AliGerBrap, however, tempting fate. Every step might be an encounter and ambush, but trying to make progress to the north. That's after that cave, sadly.
I think AliGerBrap managed to full clear this second continent, so on almost no resources, gets a really good exploration task completed here. It's really good information, so now he doesn't really have to like bother walking through this dungeon again unless, you know, it's time to rescue the princess or something like that. It's continuing to walk around. I think maybe just taking a death warp in the swamp here now.
Yes,
that continent fully cleared. So nice job there.
Yeah, it's nothing worth looking for, and the wings are so valuable, so don't waste them on the Death Warp. Meanwhile, Van finds Breckenary.
Yeah, so we have a fresh weapon and armor shop here, 700 gold to work with. Very expensive weaponry here. Somebody in chat mentioned he may have picked up a club. I did not notice that though in the previous town.
I think I saw leather armor.
And
that's about it. That was for AliGerBrap. Never mind.
Yeah, and AliGerBrap is going to go back to Hawksness now that he's been sent back to the castle. I like the routing and the decision making from AliGerBrap so far. Like, not sometimes you can get too excited with the early Hurtmore. He's sort of has taken his time ramping up, finding some more medium enemies, and now is fully ready to take on something like the Axe Knight, where, you know, he did get ambushed, but has enough hit points now to withstand that, because we're at a, we're at level 8 instead of level 1 or 2. So now down it goes, and he'll get his token.
Van heads west of Breckenary at the Motel 6, finds the Mountain Cave and the Golem.
Yeah, and just almost at level 8 is Vanavan, but just a little bit short. Have to start over from the castle, go a different direction perhaps, and AliGerBrap choosing not to fight more Axe Knights, deciding that he's making really good progress on the map as it is, doesn't really need any more levels just yet. Would rather look around and see if there's more treasures. Maybe we can find the sword nearby, who knows.
Yeah, so Van was trying to find the Mountain Cave, but top level Mountain Cave has golems, which are well beyond their capacity. And we're seeing a little bit of luck disparity. AliGerBrap seeing some good runaways, getting some lucky encounters. Even that werewolf that almost took him out when he managed to ping it down before it did any real attacks. Van's been finding, like, the dragon, the golem, and big monsters, just send them back to the castle.
Yeah, and we're far enough along now where, you know, it's level 9 now, and AliGerBrap still only has 32 agility. So we're starting to see, if you do find some other monsters that are not Hurtmoreable, let's say Demon Knights and Wizards running around, you might have a little bit of trouble running away still. But so far he has, like you mentioned, had some pretty good luck with some run attempts.
AliGerBrap also gets Repel level 9, so now we will fight only the juicy enemies. Repel will keep things away that are the slimes, the drakes, the skeletons that aren't really important anymore. Leave with these giant armor knights and these druid lords.
Ooh, and not back attacked for AliGerBrap. You have a really pretty high probability of getting back attacked. Oh, and he could have survived a single Hurtmore there, but it high rolled him and took him down. So unfortunate, unable to have an opportunity to cast the second Hurtmore spell, which most likely would have defeated the Armor Knight for huge experience.
Yeah, Armor Knight, for all his power, only resists hurt one time out of 16, or I think 2 out of 16 in reality. So it's basically a free kill with 2 Hurtmores. If you're strong enough, you can do Hurtmore and swing. But it's very fast and very angry, so kill it while you can.
Yeah, and they are finding some really juicy enemies. This Magic Wyvern's one of my favorite for, basically always being one-shottable. And Vanavan had a knight on his screen earlier. That's another really nice enemy to see when you have Hurtmore. As long as they're not ambushing you. Rogue Scorpion, another really good one. So it's like they're gaining experience so fast because just the right enemies are appearing that now we have to get going on finding these quest items.
Yeah, again, you're seeing all these enemies are just at the tier. Druid Lords, the Rogue Scorpions, the Mega Drakes, they're all like, I guarantee die to Hurtmore. The Armor Knight, I died to 2 Hurtmores, it's pretty much guaranteed as well. So the enemies that are showing up for AliGerBrap are basically the red carpet's being rolled out for levels.
Yeah, and here I think he's going to be able to get this Armored Knight, so this is going to be level 10 with this kill. And I totally missed AliGerBrap getting the Stones of Sunlight, so he does have 2 of the 3 quest items already now.
Where are the stones at?
I don't know, but I did see it in his inventory, and maybe pop quiz for the chat. And Vanavan's about to explore the mountain cave here, so let's see what's here.
Oh right, you got the grave first floor. You got those first 3 chests and got killed. That's right. So yes, we didn't see those chests. We were looking at
Vanavan fighting. Have not been kind to Vanavan. Another death from another golem before reaching the first chest in Mountain Cave. So unfortunately, not able to get any information out of there. May have to redive if so choosing. Again, only 30 agility. You would think a lot of times the golem is one of the slower monsters, but This score means that you will get run blocked by golems sometimes, and they have huge attack power.
Yeah, the golem, unfortunately, is simply... It's a boss monster not meant to be run from. And in this game, where agility is your defense in this game, that's why scorpions are very fast. Golems are fast enough. They have enough agility to be annoying because they want to have that high defense power. So they're both the same programmed ability in this game, more or less.
Oh man, look at these fantastic enemies for AliGerBrap. Just keeps running into rogue scorpions. Has built almost a double experience lead here. Another knight now. Like, it's just fantastic. Unfortunately, he's out of resources now, but it's got about a 900-point lead over Vanivan just from, finding the right monsters.
You can come and go pretty fast with these enemies, especially a grind at a Hawk's Nest.
So here's an example of the wrong monster.
Oh, yes.
The wrong monster for Vanivan. We do have the red dragon. They are not a hurt moreable enemy, guys. And they are not going to be easy to run from either. So make a note of where that guy popped up and try and walk in a different direction next time.
Yeah, as I mentioned, some of the luck I'm seeing in the seed, you see the 7-3 death count. Vanivan's finding dragons and golems, and AliGerBrap's finding knights and rogue scorpions.
Yep, and Vanivan is going to take this plunge all the way through the swamp. I guess he realizes he's already gone that way, so cast return, and probably going to go a different direction now. So back in Garenham, what do we have for an equipment upgrade here for AliGerBrap? It's got 1500 and change to work with, so there is a broadsword here, so nice heads up play, realizing he could kind of do this in his travels. Broadsword will help him with some of those other enemies that have some hurt more resistance, as we mentioned. Puts him up to 67 attack power now. Could probably start fighting things like Demon Knights, although we haven't seen any yet.
Yeah, they're not there, but Demon Knights, the Wizard class enemies resist spells very well. Dragons don't care too much, though I wouldn't be sorting a dragon right now either. But some of the higher end enemies just ignore magic entirely, or 15 out of 16. So it's always nice to have a backup sword.
So Metal Slime would get things back into business here, and an excellent move will be worth 255 for Vanivan, so cuts that lead practically in half, down to about a 500-point experience lead, and now Vanivan's the one finding the rogue scorpions, and AliGerBrap is finding the gold man. They're only worth 6 experience points, so a little reversal of fortune temporarily here while AliGerBrap goes into another dark place.
But they're so shiny. Alright, back to Garen's grave. But no keys, so no point in going back in there.
Yeah, that I think would be kind of the next big breakthrough, right? Wouldn't you say, Seawolf? If anybody finds keys, Garenham's right nearby that has treasure chests and an extra location behind. You have things available in the throne room. Or not the throne room, the treasury in the castle. So either going out there somewhere and finding the town of Rimular for a key shop, or maybe you can find a key in the mountain cave that Vanivan's tried to dive into a couple of times without progress.
Now your breakthroughs are going to be finding the sword lucky or finding the armor and coal. Otherwise, you're going to have to do it the hard way. And keys will access maybe the back door to, another throne room chest, the sunstone room. It could take you to the jerk cave. We know the mountain cave and Garen's grave are on the map, so those 3 chests plus maybe a 4th chest behind it can't be a bad thing.
Yeah, all sorts of chances to pick up the sword, behind in the castle or in the town of Garenham. And we have another level up for AliGerBrap now. 2222 is his experience total. And he has some low stat gains and some sort of inconsequential spell was learned, but moving on quickly, finding more enemies to kill, and hopefully finding more towns and caves. Is this going to be Rimular? It is!
Alright, time for some keys. Get a full stack. Get that first chest there. Head back to the castle. Head back to Garenham. There are 7 chests waiting for you right now.
Yeah, things are heating up. I would say advantage AliGerBrap in several categories now. He's got the experience lead, he's got the broadsword in hand, a little bit of extra equipment, bought the large shield earlier. Now he has access to many more locations with this key, by a whole series of keys here. He could open one chest right here in the town of Rimildar, cost 2 keys to do so. Maybe take a peek at the weapon shop, because pretty soon we're going to learn if there's going to be a gold grind available.
Yeah, good luck. Ooh, a free key. Fantastic. With any luck, one set of keys you buy from the shop can get you the whole game. The 2 doors in Rimildar, Treasury of the Castle, Underground Castles 4, Garen's grading 5, and Garen handing 6. So we have all 6 and
Yeah,
the
so
backtrack.
we got the 1 for 2 special, 2 keys for 1 there. And I feel like that's about the 4th race that I've seen where that's happened. So
at least pays it back.
That is one of the keys behind a couple of locked doors. So that means it's a little bit less likely for there to be a key in the mountain cave here for Vanivan, and a little bit more likely that Rimildar will be required. And AliGerBrap not casting return right away to open up all those doors. Going to preserve his position on the map for now until maybe running out of resources, hoping to find some additional towns and caves. Like you said, the Seawolf, there's still a couple of search spots out there. We'd like to find the town of Cantlin at some point. And I guess nobody's seen Cole yet either, right?
Nope, no Cole, no Cantlin. Until seen otherwise, Cole does not exist. It's imaginary. Vanivan heads back to Mountain Cave and almost hits that chest and sees another golem.
Yeah, these golems have been relentless in the mountain cave, but Vanivan does make it and finds the torch.
I'm seeing a surprise that ghost ambushed Fire Breath, hit Fire Breath, and dodged and almost killed him again. And Vanivan escapes when the ghost runs in terror of the high strength score. So that could have been a kill right there. So good luck on Vanivan's side there.
So fortunately, they've gained a couple of levels, and they're up over the threshold where a single Dragon Lord attack will defeat them. They have 76 and 79 HP respectively now. The most a Dragon Lord Breath attack will do against you is 72 damage. Unfortunately, if you can't run from the golem and he puts his fist on you there, you're going back to the castle sometimes if you don't have full HP. So Vanivan, only able to get 1 of the chests from the mountain cave, has tried to go in there a few times now. So that is kind of unfortunate, not able to make any progress on collecting the various treasure here.
On one hand, folks, it might be a bad thing, because you're losing time, exploration. On the other hand, if you find the sword, you find the harp, hey, worth the time, worth the trouble.
Yeah, at some point you sort of have to do it. You have to keep going in there, right? Otherwise you just aren't going to find the things that you need. Guess that's a good time to mention that, now that we see Sharlock here, this is the final dungeon of the game where the evil Dragon Lord lives. And you can see there that there's a moat and no way in. The only way to get in there is you got to collect these 3 quest items. AliGerBrap having 2 of the 3 with the Stones of Sunlight and the Erdrick's Token. It's going to need to combine those with the Staff of Rain, which you get from an old man after trading him the Silver Harp. Not the Silver Harp. Is it silver?
Yep, Silver Harp. We were promised it's silver. I've never seen it in person.
There's several silver things in this game. Yeah, the Silver Harp. So yeah, you get those 3 items all rounded up, and then you find another old man. He gives you a special item called the Rainbow Drop, which creates a bridge over that moat that we saw earlier. And that will grant you access to the final dungeon of the game. So they have to kind of scour the world, looking in all the different treasure chests for these 3 quest items. And meanwhile, they also would like to get Erdrick's armor, which is guaranteed to be on one of those 3 search spots that we mentioned. And Erdrick's sword is a nice thing to find as well, which is guaranteed to be in a treasure chest somewhere in the game, including possibly in Sharlock Castle.
Yeah, unfortunately, Vanivan again went to the mountain cave. Saw a werewolf, seen a few times in the seed. And against AliGerBrap, fought for 5 or 6 rounds barehanded and came to death. Werewolves have Dragon Lord Breath, so somehow the luck was on AliGerBrap's side to not be destroyed by a werewolf. Whereas Vanivan found that one, saw it the first time, fought it, and got ambushed and tortured to death.
Yeah, there has been a little bit of that. The luck swinging back and forth, but look at, Vanivan is kind of catching up and closing the gap here. Unfortunately, has had some exploration misfortunes, so is a little behind with going into these various locations. Going to pop into Mountain Cave yet again, but has reached level 11, so they are on the same level still. Just has a little bit of work to do clearing through these dungeons.
Batman tries again. AliGerBrap heads back to the swamp cave and forgets that's the swamp cave and leaves.
Yeah, thought for a minute maybe it was going to check out or preemptively save the princess there. Knowing that he has not found the armor and it's 50-50 chance it could be on the map, but decides to just exit. He does have keys now, so a princess rescue could have been possible there, but choosing to maybe hold off until later to do that. He did full clear the whole second continent, so no reason to go through. Alright, Bonnie, yeah.
Pays off. Bonnie finds the Silver Harp.
Struggling with this mountain cave, but Silver Harp, yeah. So that's the dungeon that AliGerBrap hasn't found yet. And that's going to be his completion of the quest items if he eventually finds it. But good persistence for Von, eventually making progress through this dungeon and is rewarded with one of the quest items.
So one more chest all the way in the corner.
Will it be one of the magic keys? We saw one earlier in the town of Rimeldar. I think there's something like 3 magic keys sprinkled throughout the game. And, you know, those could also be hiding in Sherlock and, you know, in other places as well. But that would probably be his best result here, other than maybe getting Erdrick's sword right out of here. Let's see what's here.
That'd be one set of chainmail, a small shield, and a copper sword. In gold form.
Yep. Has some money to work with there. Could be using the outside spell if he had any magic left, but it seems to be walking all the way back out. And possibly trying to hold on to this money now. He does have enough money for that broadsword that AliGerBrap picked up if he wants to cast the return spell immediately. Head back to that town, and AliGerBrap has the shopping mall available here, multiple shops available.
AliGerBrap also has access to the old man and coordinates, so possibly a chance to find the armor on the world.
Yeah, probably mostly looking around for a silver shield. I don't think he's seen one yet. He has seen a flame sword in one of the other shops previously. So he's going to check them all, because otherwise large shield and broadsword's already pretty good. It's going to make an armor upgrade here, I think. Missed exactly what that was, but upgrades to the half plate.
It's the half plate.
But yeah, it wants to peek into all the shops in case there is a gold grind. Maybe come back here later and grab all the best stuff. Has to take the inn first before traversing over to the old man, because there are barrier tiles that take large amounts of damage. So you're going to want to have some healing spells available to get to this old man, but he will be going that way now, and he's going to get the news about whether or not there's an item on the map.
Alright, Randomizer finally breaks through and finds Silver Harp Cave, and luckily, has Silver Harp. Let's cash in for a Staff of Rain.
Alright, Staff of Rain, so officially 2 quest items. Now, I'm never sure if we should call the Silver Harp a quest item, or if is it really the Staff of Rain that's one of the 3 quest items, you know? Sort of all goes together. So you get the Silver Harp, you find that person there, and he's able to upgrade that to the Staff of Rain. And we have some sort of coordinates for AliGerBrap, may or may not be countable. I'm trying to remember what the map looked like near the castle. I'm not so sure it goes 53 to the north from there.
It can be tricky. It curves around. It might not actually be accessible. And I'm not sure, since the second continent was kind of a lumpy mass, it didn't actually have like a board edge or a border. So you can't tell if that were the world that was.
Yeah, more golems harassing Vanavan. I saw him a minute ago actually run from a red dragon. They still have pretty low agility, actually, so 44 agility makes it very difficult to run from a red dragon. I think you have about a 1 in 4 chance of doing so. And even the golems now, I think you're going to have trouble even running from the slow golem with those stats, but does somehow manage to persevere. And we do have Cole now, the second of the 3 search spots, so now AliGerBrap will know if he needs to track down those coordinates that he just got. And he will have to.
The map has the armor. Might be time to go at the swamp cave and save that princess.
Choosing not to even look at the weapon and armor shop there, surprisingly. Maybe starting to think that he is just not going to bother with the gold grind. It seems to be kind of getting late in the seed, and he has already some pretty decent equipment, so not checking that shop. At least I didn't see him check it. And
Yeah,
he has actually seen most things now. He's still missing the mountain cave that Bonnibon found early. But
yeah,
I think that he's seen almost everything else.
Yeah, I'll just focus on the eastern part of the map, north and east. West is where you find the mountain cave. So, not little tournaments there. You found a lot more than Bonnibon has, but Bonnibon has that quest item in his back pocket and has the harp already cashed in for the Staff of Rain.
Yeah, I kind of expect the next time AliGerBrap finds himself at the castle, because I don't think he's checked even, like, you know, the treasury in the castle yet. So if he takes a death or something, go check those things out, and then maybe he'll go west and find Mountain Cave at that point. Does find the Stones Cave here, so that was one of the locations that was still out there.
You can see with the increase in defense power from the armor and the shield, the broadsword helps out a bit. Also has great luck for the enemies, and dodging a lot of really nasty attacks. AliGerBrap's been able to walk the world basically free, and had no problems exploring.
Yeah, may or may not get this Star Wyvern here. Does manage to take it down with the Hurt More. Was wondering if he was going to take the death there and find himself back at the castle. He still has plenty of things to unlock back at that region. Garenham's right there. There's basements both in Garenham and Tantigo Castle. There's all sorts of treasure chests to open.
And looking at the maps now, odds are either in the basement of the castle or behind Garenham will be the Jerk Cave. We have not seen the man who trades in all the items for the Rainbow Drop.
Yeah, and what is the other dungeon going to be? I guess it's maybe Tablet Cave. Have we seen Tablet Cave yet?
Actually, you're right. So one's Tablet Cave,
one of those basements. Yeah. So I think we've seen all the other dungeons now. Saw Swamp North and South, saw the grave and the mountain cave. And by the way, remember that AliGerBrap had found the grave before getting keys, and so he's only cleared out the top portions of the grave. We'll have to, you know, I wonder if he's going to ever go into the bottom of the grave, you know, assuming he never finds the sword. Do you go in there just looking for the sword? Will he even remember that he hasn't been down there yet? Sometimes it's easy to forget when you go in there so early. There it is.
Over bridge.
AliGerBrap is satisfied that he's fully cleared that region, cast the return spell, all sorts of things to open up now in this region with all the keys that he bought.
And back to the Garen's Grave point. Unless AliGerBrap has to, I will not die at Garen's Grave, because I have all these chests to look at. Garenham chests. Hopefully not have to go to the grave ever again.
Well, we do have the Death Necklace picked up. No sword yet, which is basically the only other thing he's looking for now in various chests. But Death Necklace, just in case. HP is, you know, it's getting there. It's on the higher side. It's not really in range yet, but you never know. So that's 4 of the items. Maybe there's 4 of the chests that he had available. Deciding not to go in the basement right now, well, okay, maybe he remembered that he hadn't checked the basement yet, so coming straight back in, and it could be the Tablet Cave with 1 additional chest. And then I assume he's going straight to Garenham after this.
Yeah, possibly now to the Jerk Cave down there to cash in those quest items at the very end. Yes, AliGerBrap knows that Mountain Cave is probably required, because that treasury was not really useful. Death Necklace is fantastic to have endgame, but not really useful until that point.
And so while we're watching him round this stuff up, so yeah, in question in chat, we have asked for kind of a summary of the game, Dragon Warrior Randomizer. I guess, you know, the game itself, the original game, we kind of went over before. You have to open up various treasure chests to find the 3 quest items, the Staff of Rain, the Stones of Sunlight, and the Erdrick's Token, in order to get into the final dungeon. And you need to gather a whole bunch of experience to be eligible to even fight the final boss. So that's kind of the plan. Now in Randomizer, a lot of things are shuffled around and mixed up. So you can see that the map, the overworld map itself, is completely regenerated from scratch every time you run a new race. And you have things such as the contents of all the weapon and armor shops are shuffled around and randomized. The abilities of the various enemies on the overworld can be any of the possible abilities, including Dragon Lord 2 Breath. And even where the enemies are located are all just kind of mixed around all over the map. So there are probably several other things randomized as well, but why don't you catch me up, the Seawolf, on what was in a bunch of these chests now that's been opened? I assume there's no sword yet.
The answer would be garbage. A little bit of gold, a torch, a set of wings, and one wasted key. However, Tablet Cave might have a surprise. Never mind, it's fairy water. Nope. So either Bomb of the Grave or Charlotte Castle for your sword.
Yeah, and so from AliGerBrap's perspective, he hasn't seen the chest yet in Mountain Cave, so he'll probably scour the map looking for Mountain Cave next. Also hasn't been in the bottom of the grave, but he has seen the chests now in Tantegel, in Garenham, in Rimeldar. He saw the Stones Cave, he just did the Tablet Cave, and he did the top of the grave. Now is starting a manual count of fairly hefty coordinates here. I think Swamp Cave is pretty close by and accessible, and he could go ahead and take on the mini-boss guarding the princess pretty easily, I think, but it's going to attempt this count first. You have to get 53 steps to the north, and I feel like mostly it goes like east and west from the castle and doesn't seem to go too far to the north.
Yeah, gauging from that river up top there, it's either a long walk around, or you might have to go to the other continent and walk south. But seems I've given up on the count already, realizing that was a bend around and there's no way to have a chance to have a landmark to work off of.
This is the general direction of Mountain Cave, though. If he keeps kind of going to the west here, he will eventually bump into that, which would be huge for him. And Vanivan finds the other dungeon, the grave here. So each of them found one of the dungeons first, and now Vanivan finds the second one, and could be the first one to round up all 3 quest items if he can survive the Star Wyvern, but no. Down he goes.
So, the consequence of having no armor and still pretty low agility, you take a lot of damage still. So with all the health you have, in a game where you can't dodge, you still have 2 rounds of combat before you die.
And we have double-digit COD count here for Vanivan, having much more trouble surviving these encounters. AliGerBrap seems to be doing pretty well, making it from inn to inn, and has cast Return here after reaching the west coast and going south. So unfortunately did not follow that coastline back up to the north, where up in the corner there is the Mountain Cave. So that could be interesting to follow. Maybe it's going to take him a while to find this silver harp here.
It's been noted in chat a few times that AliGerBrap's visited caves by accident, gone back and forth a few times. There's a chance that they have not actually been mapping or keeping track of locations too well.
Yeah, I think this is the 3rd time we've seen him come back into the grave, and now he might be saying, well, I might as well go down to the bottom since, I actually know where this location is, So, I mean, here's 2 chests that I don't have to hunt around for. I can just go dive and go straight down there. And Vanivan does get the Stones of Sunlight, guys, and I don't even think he ever got keys, right? So,
nope.
All the quest items in hand, but no keys. Unfortunately, we'll have to get keys in order to get the Rainbow Drop, which is in the basement of one of those, either Tantegel or Garenham, both of which require a key to get access to. So, eventually he's going to need to find Rimeldar. I haven't seen any caves that have been freely, floating around in the open, so I think Rimeldar is required here. The one key we found, I think, was in the Rimeldar Inn chest, which is behind locked doors, right? So, and Vanivan has covered the entire Mountain Cave. We saw Stones and Tablet Cave, so yeah. So there's no keys, really, that you can just pick up and use in this seed. It's going to have to find Rimeldar, which was kind of far away. Wasn't it way off to the east?
Yeah, definitely a long east walk. Vanivan finding the Swamp Cave and checking out this empty continent.
Yeah, this continent
there's
has
a sword
nothing on it. Oh!
Sword is in the, not the halfway chest of Garen's grave.
Bottom levels of the grave. So AliGerBrap with a nice decision to go diving into the grave a bit early here. picks up the sword for his troubles. Great job there. And will he continue down to the bottom? Not much remaining to be found except maybe the fighter's ring, I think.
Yeah, fighter's ring.
I think that's
Yeah,
it.
that's it, really.
Yeah, we have Death Necklace, then Flute in hand. We have Erdrick's sword now, and from his perspective, he's still looking for the harp. I apologize.
Actually, you're right, yes.
Yeah.
There's no harp there, so now it's the terror of, like, where's that harp?
Yeah. And, you know, he could end up getting the fighter's ring for his troubles here if he gets lucky, but otherwise, it's going to be a fruitless search. But yeah, huge find getting the sword there. That's one of those things that maybe Vanivan won't even end up diving the grave. A lot of people do tend to skip this trip through.
Well, you get to the end of the game.
AliGerBrap once again.
Yeah, you get to the end of the game, and there's like, well, there's 7 chests in Charlock, 3 chests in the grave, 3 in the top, I've probably seen already, then 1, 2 in the bottom. Do I roll a dice on Charlock? Do I go back to Garen's grave and waste a lot of time? Especially on level 1 Hurtmore Seed, where time is probably like you're behind, because from level 1 on, you had to destroy anything.
And there's another magic key locked behind another locked door. You have to use a key to get down here. So, yeah, and great note from our tracker, Z-Man. The Seawolf. Don't look now, but Vanivan is taking the experience lead in this race after being pretty far behind.
Yeah, so the hard exploring, being underground has left a lot more deaths, but the enemies that Vanivan's been fighting have been a lot higher quality.
Yeah, so this race is becoming close again because Vanivan basically needs Rimuldar really badly, and AliGerBrap needs Mountain Cave pretty badly. I would say the one extra thing is that, you know, at some point Vanivan is going to have to get that sword out of the bottom of the grave, but, you know, not much left for either player to find. It's just that they're looking for different things, and a lot of it's going to come down to exploration now. Whoever gets those things first is going to have a nice advantage now.
Yeah, unfortunately, Vanivan has to go across the map all the way to find Rimuldar, and then back to Garen's grave.
So what do you suppose AliGerBrap is grinding for here, Seawolf? I don't remember even seeing a silver shield, but I probably just missed it.
There might have been one in Breckenary, but given the money involved, yeah, if we're going to 14 stopping and silver shield for sure. I was assuming
like he found a
had
flame sword in a shop nearby, but now he has Erdrick's sword, so you don't need to be grinding for weapons anymore.
Yeah,
not sure if you care to upgrade from the half plate. Really, it's, you know, you're going to be looking for Erdrick's armor now in the near future.
Yeah, your next goal is to save the princess and find that armor.
Looks like he just got the silver shield money, and I'm not sure that he's seen one, but maybe he has. There's not too many shops left to check, so we'll assume that he saw one, and he's heading over in that direction. And yeah, will he get the princess? That's the next question.
And Roy, I will mention that the main problem with Erdrick's armor being skipped is that Erdrick's armor has basically breath resistance. It makes the Dragon Breath much weaker. Otherwise, you're taking 70 damage on Dragon Breath from Dragon Lord 2. And you can't do that, and you cannot heal and attack in sequence in this game. So you have to either be able to take a hit and heal between, or get lucky with damage rolls. So skipping the armor for Dragon Lord Breath 2 would be very, very hazardous without like 180 health.
Yeah, I mean, it's technically possible if you had just so much magic that you could just keep healing while he's breathing fire on you, and you just like wait for him to do physical attacks, and then you attack. You know, I mean, it's just, so if you get enough levels, it would be possible. But the whole idea here is that we're in a race, and you want to finish as quickly as possible. So instead of getting 7 or 8 extra levels to be able to do that, you'd might as well just find the armor.
Yeah, in the end game, levels become much. There's a period in the middle there where the levels get like extremely hard to get. Then it evens out over time. Like at a certain threshold, it becomes the same amount of experience per level over and over again. Until that point, though, it gets pretty extreme. And Silver Shield itself, money-wise, you saw the gold grind from AliGerBrap where you open up chests. After the 8th chest, without reloading the world map, the game can't track chest removal anymore, and you get free money or free item out of the chest every time you open it.
So here was an example. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I said, getting 40,000 gold the hard way in the randomizer is almost impossible. Like the Death of Seed, or maybe like a hour of not dying, you might be able to get enough gold.
Oh yeah, it's so brutal. Every time you find gold in a chest in the original game, you get like 15 gold pieces or something. It's just like, oh my gosh, Why is that even worthwhile? So they've bumped that up significantly in the randomizer, thankfully. Bon has the flute now. Gets the bad news that the armor is going to be a little bit more tricky to find in this one.
That's not too bad, though, because the flute will save them from the golems now. And to keep going to the east, they should be able to find Rumbledar very close by.
So here's another trip to the west coast for AliGerBrap, and again he realizes that he had been to that particular part of the west coast, and he casts Return, thinking that he's covered that whole west coast there, but he never went north from that spot, which is where the mountain cave is. So that's going to continue to elude him for a while. We'll have to, track how that progress goes. That could be significant if it takes him a really long time to find Mountain Cave for the last quest item. But before that happened, one of the small advantages that he seemed to have, for example, is he started fighting a wizard, because he has Erdrick's sword, and we're showing the club for Vaughn right now. I'm not sure if that's still what he has, but so you can fight things like the wizard now with 89 attack power. Unfortunately, I think it turned out that the wizard had some kind of an ability, maybe the Heal More spell or something, so he ended up running away. But more options, at least on the table, for AliGerBrap now that he has the sword. Primarily, we're going to use Hurt More, but like this blue dragon that Vaughn is running into is really a problem if you don't have good attack power.
Vaughn pressing eastward to find, hopefully, Rumbledar. Again, as traveling, he's still getting good combat, so we're still maintaining and extending that lead. Only 400 ahead now of AliGerBrap. Just hit level 13 themselves. So again, the constant combat has been, slowing down the exploration, but maintaining a experience lead about 500 to 1,000 the entire time.
Alright, thanks to Sparkover for the raid. Party of 13, welcome, and enjoy the rest of this race. We have kind of a fairly tight race shaping up, although they went off in vastly different directions to start this one out. And now they both find themselves at level 13, and each are looking for one or two last locations that the other one has already been to. So it's kind of going to be an exploration race now for the most part, as they are, for the most part, strong enough to fight most of the monsters they encounter. And as I say that, a golem quickly sends Vaughn back to the castle.
Alas, and AliGerBrap is back in the swamp cave now to save the princess.
Yep, the armor is confirmed to be on the map, and AliGerBrap has the coordinates, as you can see there in the middle of our tracker. They're a little bit too far away to count. So it's got all sorts of spells and abilities and stats and resources to take on any of these possible guardians of the princess. And inching his way closer to that boss tile. And here it is.
Armalite, the ambush should have hurt more.
Yeah, they do seem to have fairly high hurt more percentage, don't they? So when they do finally get that Erdrick's armor, that does reduce the damage done by the hurt more spell, and they'll end up not really being as dangerous in Charlock as they sometimes could be.
It's interesting, there's a threshold. Armor. Yeah, there's a threshold with the hurt more where initially it's better to have that because you take less damage overall, but then you get endgame stats, you'd rather than swing at you for like 12 or 15 as opposed to hurt more for 30. So it goes to being like, not that's good, then better, then worse again.
Thank you to our tracker, Z-Man, bringing up the Armored Knight stats. We can see and confirm that it's 75% chance to cast Hurt More because he doesn't have an alternate spell like, Sleep or Stop spell. So it'll go straight to, 75% Hurt More, and then if he doesn't do that, he will fight, and he does pack a punch. We can confirm there that only a 1 out of 16 chance to resist the Hurt More spell. And so that is the deal. We may or may not see him in Charlock, but it's good to get that information early. And I love all these alternate sprites, how, carrying the princess, it's a little wonky, but saving the princess, indeed. AliGerBrap is going to get a special item here called the Gwaelin's Love from the princess. And that is used as a little bit of a GPS where you can locate your own position on the map. with respect to the castle, so you can figure out where that overworld item is by using that item.
And again, I'm pretty sure it's going to be a long walk east, north, and back to the west to find that spot, or possibly even through the swamp cave to find this extra little spot to search the map.
And Von continues to slightly extend this experience lead. It's still pretty close. AliGerBrap had the experience lead for most of the seed, but we are just a few hundred points away from level 14, not even anywhere close to being Dragon Lord eligible yet. And Von finally finds the town of Rimular and gets keys 53 minutes into a quick Hurtmore seed.
It seems terrifying because you find things late. You don't know where your opponent's at. They're both kind of at the polar opposites, where they have what the other one does not.
Yeah, Von found that mountain cave actually pretty early. So early, in fact, that he wasn't really quite ready for it. There's some pretty nasty monsters in there. Had to take 3 or 4 trips through there to get all the chests. But it turned out that there was a quest item in there, the Silver Harp, which is the one last thing that AliGerBrap needs to complete his quest, and he just cannot find that mountain cave. It's way along the west coast. Got to go west from the castle to get there. Right now, he's kind of trying to target getting towards the armor, though. That's laying on the map somewhere on this windy path.
So again, Von's behind about 3 tasks. Still needs to find the grave and dig that grave out. Gotta find the armor, and probably gotta take the princess in the process. So, still 3 tasks behind, and with a slight experience point lead.
Yeah, in the meanwhile, he'll probably take the time to dig out the treasure in the treasury and go into Garenham and check out what's there. It's going to locate the Rainbow Drop cave and confirm the location of that, but the rest of that is just going to take kind of a long time for him to do, and that will be AliGerBrap's opportunity to regain the experience lead while he's running around doing all those things.
And AliGerBrap, there you go. 1 space there. Got it.
Boom! Erdrick's armor for AliGerBrap, walking around in these swamps like they're not even there.
And Von still having trouble escaping from these golems. Keeps trying to run the first time, getting punched, and ends up using the fairy flute to get away scot-free. But every time he tries to run, first time
I don't
gets
remember
punched.
what this cave is. It's pretty far out of the way. What is this that AliGerBrap has found? Because
I think the cave is a vanilla stone sunlight cave.
I thought he had already found that cave.
Sure did.
Okay, just double checking to make sure. Okay. Alright, he's just perplexed on what part of the map has he not seen. I feel like he actually has covered most of the map now, and maybe is feeling like he's been everywhere and just can't find that mountain cave. One of the more frustrating things that can happen to you in this game.
Yeah, future games have the Eagle Eye spell to zoom the map out. A little fake Mode 7 on the NES. But at Dragon Warrior 1, you have that 8 full size, 8 top, 8 bottom. If you're 1 pixel off, 1 frame off the side there, and walk past it, you'll never see it.
Yeah, and the randomizer has this uncanny knack for like putting a town like exactly along the coast of an ocean or way off like on a peninsula somewhere. So you really do have to go and like put your eyes on the edges of the map. Otherwise, yeah, like you said, if you just leave a few tiles, the thing you need could be right there. Oh, and another death for Von. He has, like, at least according to our tracking right now, like 13 CODs as opposed to only 3 for AliGerBrap. So just finding all the wrong enemies in all the wrong situations so far. And yet, somehow he has still maintained this slim experience lead. And here he goes with all the tasks now, opening up all these doors, now that he finally has those keys.
And the only thing of worth in the castle was that necklace here, and downstairs being the Jerk Cave, which has to be visited later on, but not quite yet.
So we picked up Repel somewhat recently, or have we had that all along? Because AliGerBrap just cast it, and I hadn't noticed them doing that.
Repel is level, I want to say level 4 or 5.
Oh, so they have been using it. Okay, didn't notice that. But he has all the spells now, except for regular heal, which is one of the ones kind of... I usually like having regular heal. At this stage of the game, it doesn't make as much difference, but back when they only had, 40 or 50 hit points, it would have been really useful. But
Yeah, the threshold where it becomes overkill, and early game, take what you get. If you can heal more, sweet.
Oh, and Vaughn is actually going to be able to trade the Rainbow Drop in on his first visit to the Rainbow Drop Cave, having already acquired all 3 quest items on his travels. So Rainbow Drop and Sharlock access for Vaughn. So really all he needs now is the armor. So he needs to find Caitlin and discover the coordinates, and maybe go rescue the princess and track down that armor. It would be nice also to get Erdrick's sword out of the bottom of the grave, although, technically not as required. But yeah, so those are the 2 things he needs, really.
I'm going to wager that there's going to be a search for the princess, a search for Caitlin, and then probably a Sherlock dive, assuming that, well, there's 5 chests there and 7 chests there. I'm going to 7 and roll the dice that in case.
Yeah, so you think before he dives the bottom of the grave, he might end up searching through Sharlock for the sword?
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah, that's a good possibility. And if it turns out to be a seed where we need like level 18 or something, that actually might work out okay for him, because there's some really good experience enemies in there while you're diving down and trying to get the sword. But if we start getting to the point where, it ends up being lost time, then that would be a pretty bad disadvantage.
Yeah, Charlock, the game is randomized to a great extent. But Charlock has a certain class of enemies that can only be in Charlock. Basically from the Star Wyvern and higher in terms of power. So you're always guaranteed endgame power enemies at that point.
Vaughn just took a different path through Tablet Cave than like anyone else that I see run through this, which is, it's kind of fun to be able to see other players and like how they actually go about doing common things in the game. And I'd never seen anyone walk that particular way through Tablet Cave. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I just use Bonk Sonar.
Alright, so he has opened like 8 chests in the last couple of minutes. So now what has Vaughn gotten for chests? He's opened all the ones in the castle now, all the ones in Garenham. I believe he must have opened the one in Rimeldar while he was there buying keys. I don't remember if he has seen Stones of Sunlight Cave yet. He just did Tablet Cave. And he's the one that's full cleared Mountain Cave, and he's, I think, done the top of the grave. So may or may not still need Stones of Sunlight Cave, which is pretty far out of the way. And also hasn't been to the bottom of the grave. I think his priority is to find some towns now, because the towns are what lead you to the search spots for the armor.
Yeah, Vaughn needs Caitlin, and in the worst possible way. And it's odd because Vaughn goes right back to Mountain Cave.
Yeah, like no problem getting to Mountain Cave for Vaughn, and AliGerBrap just cannot find that location no matter what. Oh, I feel like this is an intentional gold grind about to happen. Look at the equipment for Vaughn right now. We still have very poor equipment, if that's accurate, which it's incredible he's made such good progress, basically just with the Hurt More spell alone. But that's probably part of the reason why he's taking so many more deaths. Just doesn't have the defense that AliGerBrap had, so... Taking a lot of deaths, just no equipment. I think we're just setting up a gold grind here, because he's already opened all these chests.
Yeah, death count tells the tale. A lot of bad luck with early encounters with golems and dragons. Werewolves blowing him up as opposed to laying over and casting stock spell 8 times for AliGerBrap. A little bad luck with enemy RNG, but has maintained... I think he still has the experience lead. Nope, just lost it now to AliGerBrap. Because the sword is a big game changer.
We just got a nice big raid from Free Enterprise. Welcome everybody to Dragon Warrior Randomizer Week 2 of the tournament. You're seeing a very close competitive race between Vaughn and AliGerBrap. And we are kind of in the final third of this race. They're trying to round up the items now in order to be the first to go take on the Dragon Lord. I guess they all just wrapped up some Final Fantasy stuff going on that channel, so welcome here. We got a pretty good one, actually.
AliGerBrap just found Mountain Cave, so AliGerBrap is on their way to finishing off the last little fetch quest.
Hooray! He finally finds it, and one of these chests, I think up here to the north, is the final quest item. So as long as it doesn't get sniped, it should be right around here.
Alright, so there's Silver Harp. Means going back to the cave. So now Van's
so
on time.
Von takes the intentional death to presumably go into the treasury now to print up a whole bunch of money. Did you already explain how this works, the Seawolf, or you want to go for it?
I'll go over it again, though. So the game has a limited memory. Yeah. As long as you go in the world map resets that memory. Otherwise, the game can hold 8 chests that you grab and pulls out the maps. You can't grab it over and over again. But the throne room has 3 that never come back. That's 3 as a given. The game counts that automatically. Go to, say, Garenham and get those 3 chests there. Or go to the mountain cave or Garen's grave, open up chest there. Enter number 8. It will stay there on the map, because the game cannot put it in memory and says, well, it's going to stay right there, I can't hold it. So whatever's in there, you take it. And take it again. And take it again. And take it again.
Yep, so runners often try and route their way in a certain way so that they don't touch the overworld by taking intentional deaths out of dungeons and things of that nature. And then they come back in here to the treasury of the castle where you started, and having already known that there's gold here in the treasury, he's able to open the chests in a certain order to guarantee that he can take unlimited amounts of gold. So he's going to take all this money over to a nearby shop and get all the best equipment in the game. At the very least, I know that one of the shops pretty nearby had the flame sword. I forget where AliGerBrap found the silver shield, but probably going to get one of those as well. And it's just a question of how much further will he go. If he wants all 3 of the best items, it costs somewhere in around 33,000 gold. If he stops a little short of that, that'll mean that he's not going to bother with an armor upgrade. But yeah, AliGerBrap's in good shape now, having all the quest items. Needs to relocate the Staff of Rain cave, if he hasn't done so already, and then come back and trade in for the Rainbow Drop. But first, he's going to grind a little bit on Axe Knights, one of the very best ways to grind for experience.
Interesting, because the Axe Knight is a kind of a free kill, but it has heal more, so it'd be annoying. Can waste a lot of time, whereas the Spice Tile in the Swamp Cave has the Armor Knight, which is a little stronger, but I think just casts hurt more.
Yep, and it's worth a little bit more experience. Oftentimes you got to use 2 hurt mores on that to kill it, but a lot of times you'll be using multiple hurt mores on this guy too, because he's going to heal himself after the first one. So, like, this one seems to be alive for a really long time. That was a pretty tough fight for AliGerBrap. But yeah, I mean, you make a good point. There's definitely a choice to be made in this one. This is not necessarily the best option. I think it's still a pretty good option, but and as we see Von continue his hunt for the Erdrick's armor, AliGerBrap likely is going to start extending this experience lead now, and he has the advantage going into the Sharlock phase here.
Yeah, AliGerBrap has now had 2 fetch quests, essentially. I cannot see Minivan without finding Caitlyn right now and getting the armor immediately afterwards. You know, be able to catch up and make a dive at it. It seems to be beyond the ability.
Comment from chat that this is great looking strength and agility here at level 14. For those that are less familiar with the game, that is definitely sarcasm. You can tell by our tracker there that we have some color-coded things going on for our stats. So any stat that is still in the white is still pretty terrible in terms of Dragon Lord eligible, final boss go time levels. So we still have a lot of work to do on gaining more strength and agility in this seed, even though we're at a level that sometimes you actually can finish the game at. Sometimes it's pretty common that you can finish at level 14, but we probably have a ways to go still, as particularly the strength stat is more or less required. You got to get at least up into the orange and usually into the green. Whereas we have plenty of hit points to work with, and we have pretty good magic as well. So every seed's a little bit different. The growth of the stats is randomized, so you have a lot of different scenarios about how these things all work together to get ready for end game fights against Dragon Lord. But right now we have a ways to go.
Also, good point. Another good HP boost. You got a whole ton of HP at level 14. 15 and 16 are generous to HP. Death Necklace could be in play. That's a whopping plus 10 attack power for the cost of 1/4 of your hit points.
So I'm trying to figure out what Vonnevan's doing now, unless, you know, I guess it's just general exploration of the map. Maybe he just hasn't covered as much map as AliGerBrap did in his travels. So really mostly looking for Cantlin. He did see the coal earlier, so he picked up the flute there and, you know, was successful in Hawksness earlier. So he does know that Cantlin is required in the seed because the armor can be only in one of those 3 possible search spots. So if it's not in the first 2, then it's got to be on the overworld, which requires Cantlin in order to learn the coordinates. I'm assuming that he's not seen Cantlin yet. The other possibility is that he could be on his way to rescue the princess. But it looks like he's actually just looking around, like hoping to bump into Cantlin eventually.
Yeah, that cave down south below is actually the cave for the swamp cave. That's where the princess is at, I believe. So unfortunately, as Mountain Cave was far to the east in a weird off corner, Cantlin is far to the west in a strange off corner.
So we have a question about which upgrades Vonnevan ended up buying, and he doesn't have a whole lot of gold right now, so I assume that he spent basically all of it. Did you catch it, the Seawolf? I'm going to say he has a flame sword.
It's possible. I see the silver shield. Money's all gone, so I have to assume probably the magic armor, flame sword, and silver shield.
Well, yes. I don't remember if there was a magic armor or if there was just like a full plate.
There was magic armor in Garanham, yes. Okay.
So confirmed flame sword in chat. Alright, so close enough. He's going to need to pick up Erdrick's armor eventually, so this will give us a pretty good idea, though, of his, you know, attack power. At least he has the flame sword. He's going to have to go dive the grave if he wants Erdrick's sword, and as you mentioned, the more likely play from his perspective is going to be to just dive into Sharlock and hope that it's there.
On AliGerBrap's side, level 15, with not much in the way of strength or agility, but 4 hit points and more magic. So we're looking at a risk of, even with this great equipment, Dragonlord might still punch you for, you know, plus 48. So typically you're safe at 48 hit points left, and 49 left, between the breath and the attack of the Dragonlord with all the good gear. But the agility is so abysmal, it might not be safe.
So did AliGerBrap just turn in for the staff? So now he just needs to head into the basement here to pick up the rainbow drop, and he's in officially grind and go status, which means he has everything he needs to defeat the Dragonlord except more levels.
And nothing much to go for in the castle of Charlock besides the fighter's ring. The treasury, the +2 attack power might be important, but other than that, just go in there and head to the throne room.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. So we'll cross that bridge if we end up in a really borderline situation statistics-wise. It's one of those things that's easy to forget that maybe you didn't find the fighter's ring yet, and you could look for it in the Sharlock treasury if it wouldn't. You know, there are cases where it really does make the difference, but it has to be a borderline situation. So there's the rainbow drop and grind and go for AliGerBrap. So Vonnevan now, just like you said, just has too many extra tasks still left to do, running around trying to round these things up. So while doing that, AliGerBrap's going to just extend that experience lead.
AliGerBrap doesn't do but go to Charlock and get more experience points. AliGerBrap has to find east side of the map, back to the west side of the map, down the south of the map to go to the cave to find that sword, then find Charlock, then take care of business.
Yeah, I'm not sure if even the sword is on his mind. I feel like he's just hoping to find Cantlin, and I don't remember where Cantlin is on the map, but it wasn't one of the early things that AliGerBrap found. It was one of the later towns, so it's got to be pretty far away.
Yeah, it was the last town in sequence of that east and north, like, weird windy path. So it's the most far away town from the initial starting point. Took AliGerBrap about 40 minutes to find it themselves, so no promises finding it now either.
And we could see the grind for AliGerBrap, basically just trying to step on this spike tile as quickly as possible. Every time you take every other step, you're guaranteed to get an encounter. That's what makes this the fastest option. So you just get 130 experience points every time you defeat this enemy. So he'll just do this over and over until he runs out of magic, and then he'll go back to an inn and rest and continue until the statistics are where he needs them to be. So yeah, we're going to see a lot of Axonite corpses in our future here. So the next level for AliGerBrap will occur at 9,750 points. So right now he has 8116. Every Axe Knight's 130, so he has a reasonable chance of getting there on this cycle. He can, unfortunately, because this Axe Knight has heal more, it is a little bit more MP intensive, so it's possible that he might not get the level on this trip, and he'll have to go heal. And Caitlin and coordinates for Vaughn. So write those coordinates down, go get that princess, and get the armor as quickly as possible.
And the armor again was actually you had to go east first. You had to walk around the wrong direction, go north, and come back around the corner. So it's definitely a little weird curve there to get the armor.
Instantly takes the intentional death warp on the barrier tiles by just taking a step back through, and knows instantly that I think he's just going to go straight for the princess here. I don't see him counting this out. He knows where the swamp cave is. It's not really that far away. Swamp cave, of course, is the dungeon where it acts as the tunnel between two locations, but kind of in one section there's like a prison where the princess is being held captive by a endgame guardian. So he's going to go straight over there to try and rescue the princess, I imagine.
And again, shouldn't be a threat. Great gear now and all spells available. Armor Knight should not be a problem.
Yeah, you can see AliGerBrap having to use a lot of MP on these battles, so not going to get to 9750 on this trip. We'll see him go back to an inn or take a death warp in the near future. And here is the swamp key for Vaughn. So yeah, for those just joining us recently, less familiar with the game, the idea here is when you rescue the princess, she gives you a special item that can be used to locate that overworld item, so that you don't have to manually count those coordinates out on the map. You can kind of use that item and zero your way in on it. So that's the idea here.
You see a chance here if Vaughn comes back here to grind this spot versus AliGerBrap grinding the Axe Knights versus Armor Knights. You might see 3,000 points is a big difference in experience points, but you never know if they can catch back up at that point.
Yeah, he doesn't have too much left to do. The looming thing is that he's probably not going to get the sword, unfortunately for him. But yeah, trying to think of a way that he could potentially catch up in this race. I think it will come down to failed dives. There's always a chance. It takes almost a good 10 minutes to get your way all the way through Charlotte Castle to fight the Dragon Lord, and if in a race situation, if you get a little bit aggressive and try and get there on a borderline level, maybe you lose the fight against the Dragon Lord, and that opens up the door for your opponent to maybe catch up quite a bit. So something like that can always happen. It happens all the time.
Yeah, you're not seeing Green Dragon, what power they might have. Red Dragon showed up and killed them immediately, so we're not sure if they have any special tricks in their back pocket. There can be some nasty enemies still waiting. The Golem seems pretty tame, basic. Blue Dragon seems like an attacker. With the Axe and the Armor Knights. Starwoven shouldn't be a problem. Werewolves have the big breath, though, so ambush and breath could make things a little annoying. There's a little chance the dragons might have something in their back pockets for us later. Yep, and they have very low agility still, so, could be tough to run from the Red Dragon. There's still plenty unresolved here. Still have to wait and see how easy this is going to be for AliGerBrap. Does have Death Necklace eligible HP now, guys. Once you get over about 130 HP, if you so choose, and oftentimes right before fighting the Dragon Lord, you can sacrifice 25% of those hit points to gain 10 more attack power. So that is in play now, especially since the strength score is lagging, and we do have the hit points now. So we're actually closer now to the final level than it might appear. Alright, I'm making the right pathing, going around the corner to find that armor. It's kind of against your mental judgment. You think it'd be a different way to go, but indeed to get north of the castle, you go over here.
Oh, he just continues to take deaths on the overworld. His COD count is just so much higher. You can see the little tiny numbers next to their names on our tracker here. That's like us doing the best that we can of keeping track of how many times they've died in the seed. And, dying has consequences in this game. you're sent back to the castle. You lose half your gold, but it's just, and you have to spend some time listening to the king lecture you. And just a lot of times, the more that happens to you unintentionally, that does tend to put you at a little bit of a disadvantage. So he's just had a lot more trouble covering the map and getting where he needs to get to than AliGerBrap did in this seed.
Right, he's level 16, and we're seeing a reasonable boost in agility, definitely required. But the AP is still, even with the necklace, is still below what you require. Well, typically. They have a lot of MP.
Yep. This is starting to be pretty grindy. Once you get past 16 and you still have a ways to go, it's starting to feel like, oh man, this is just a grind now. Typically, I would say the average is somewhere between level 15 and 16 for finishing the game. 16 is probably the most common, but we're not that close, and it looks like 17 won't be enough either unless we get a lot of strength. So, settle in for the grind. And this is when I'm running a seed, this is kind of frustrating for me, because it's like go, 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 and then it's like, oh, I have to just stay here and fight these Axe Knights. But you have to, because there's just no faster way to get the level you need.
Alright, finally making the careful way to the oddball spot in the map to find themselves the armor.
So the next magic number we're looking for, by the way, is 12,000 even. When it gets to 12,000, that's level 17.
Bonnie was by the spot and took a hiatus this direction. I'm not sure why.
Has he used the item yet? Maybe he's just trying to get close, eyeball it, and then start using the item. So if he starts using that Gwaelin's Love soon. There we go. He's going to realize he overshot it.
Three down and a bit to the east. A bit to the west, say. Again, Gwaelin does it backwards for you, so... It's all her.
Actually didn't overshoot it. Okay, so this is the right area.
Yeah,
nice. So, yeah, once he gets this, he's basically ready to go. Unfortunately, like you said earlier, he just probably isn't going to go in the right direction to get the sword. Because there's only 2 chests left.
Yeah, so you find a Metal King
bottom of the grave.
Barring finding a monster that's outside the programming to gain 2 experience points in 2 fights. Pretty far behind.
Yeah, pretty far behind on the grind, unfortunately. It just takes him too long to round all these things up. That's kind of the classic. It's a balance between gaining the experience and the exploration to round all these things up. And the more you're just kind of running around, the more your opponent can just fight more Axe Knights and get more experience. So it's a tricky balance, and he's just had a lot more trouble staying alive on the map. So it's taken him longer to get all the necessary items.
And forgoing the sword in the Garen's grave, I'm not sure if Vanivon's seen Sherlock.
I'm trying to remember if it was on his screen. I thought Sherlock was near one of the towns, but now that you mention it, I don't remember if he's found it yet either, so it could be why we see him continuing to look around a bit, because already has the rainbow drop. And the other thing is, maybe has he seen the Stones of Sunlight cave? Maybe he wants to just make sure he's opened as many chests as possible before deciding on the Sherlock dive. I don't know. Can't remember if he's seen Sherlock. It's a good question. So we're closing in on level 17 here, but I think AliGerBrap's going to be a little short. He's very low on resources now. You don't really want to burn herbs and stuff in this situation, so maybe he's going to get this Axe Knight if it doesn't cast Heal more.
Yeah, at the point you just go back to the castle, walk towards Sherlock, and gain your level on the way.
Yeah, well, we're not sure if the next level is going to be enough, but yeah, that's definitely a possibility. Well, clearly just taking a Death Warp now. Axe Knight does tend to like hurt. Fortunately, it also has that Heal More spell. Did we get a look at the Axe Knight earlier? I'm sure we did.
I'm trying to recall. I think it was actually 75 both. So I think it was a chance to do one or the other almost all the time. Attacking almost never happens with the Axe Knight.
Yeah, so the heal more. Okay, here we are. Thank you to our tracker Z-Man. 50% for heal more, which means, and you know, they only can cast heal more if they're down in their own danger zone. They have to be below 25% of their max HP in order to even cast that. But assuming it doesn't cast that, then it goes to 75% hurt. Which is a nice tame enemy, but like you said, it is annoying when they do happen to cast that heal more, and your hurt more is just basically null and voided.
Yeah, fortunately, in this case, that's where you get enemy in the seed where you kill, either you hit it with hurt mores and it dies instantly, and it surprises later on, like you can be in Charlock trying to save resources, and suddenly, oh, by the way, I have heal more.
Yep.
How could that happen? If they're really weak. So if you get them halfway dead, then kill them off after that, you'll never see it.
Yeah, so you could see, we also saw on that display, the Axe Knight, at least in Randomizer, has a max HP of 67 hit points. But every enemy, when they spawn, they can have anywhere between 75 and 100% of their max. So its range is something like, 51 to 67 or something. And your Hurt More spell does a range of 58 to 65 damage. So oftentimes you're going to one-shot it, but when you don't, that puts him right into that zone where he can cast Heal More. And when he does, he goes right back to 67 hit points, which means your next Hurt More isn't going to be enough, and it just becomes a whole big problem. So a little bit of an annoying grind here when you don't one-shot it, but still worthwhile, still pretty quick. What did we get a level 17 Seawolf? I missed it completely.
17, a few points in strength, getting us about 5 points higher. Agility about 2 more points higher. Nothing fantastic. Agility is still, it's now 71, it's reasonable, but still below your desired values.
I mean, I'll tell you what, it's deceiving here now because AliGerBrap isn't instantly going back for more grinding, just assuming this is like not close to go time. I'm telling you, this actually might work out. It's when you put the Death Necklace on, you're up to 124 attack power, and they have a pretty good amount of magic to work with. It still probably doesn't quite work because by the time you put the Death Necklace on, thanks to our tracker there, you see the hit points drops all the way down to 107 because you have to sacrifice so much of it when you equip the Death Necklace. So now I guess you're probably not really getting any double attacks.
Yeah,
it just doesn't quite work, but it's way closer than it looks, and it might actually be a situation where you might want to dive into Charlock and get the level on the way down, because you don't need hardly anything now to make it work, and MP is not in shortage. Problem is, the agility is so low that they're not defense breaking anything yet, so you would be taking a lot of damage if you try and conserve resources, so he's decided to stay here.
Take a lot of damage, and also you can't escape as rarely as you want to. So if it's all red dragons all the way down, you're never getting down there with 113 MP.
Yeah, there's no telling what's looming in Charlock for sure. Sometimes it's super easy to get through, and other times it's like, oh my gosh, what just happened? How am I ever going to get through this dungeon? So,
and there are at least 3 enemies that we have not seen extensively: Red Dragon, Green Dragon, and Stone Man, which could have sleep in the laying the wings, and sleep for all the benefits of Urge's armor. Sleep still puts you to sleep for 2 to 5 rounds, so you still got to deal with that problem.
Yep, we refer to that as slept and wrecked when you're somewhere down deep in Charlock and you can't wake up, and they just hit you and hit you and hit you and hit you, and you get sent back to the castle. One of the most frustrating things that can happen in the game. Next magic number here is all the way up at 14,250 for AliGerBrap, so he's not going to be able to get that on this cycle. He's going to have to go back to an inn and come back here, finish off the level presumably, unless he wants to start diving in early after these resources are spent. We'll have to see what he decides there. And what's Von Ivan up to, Seawolf? Are we ready to grind yet, or is he still looking for the sword now?
I think we're going to the inn. If we head to the east, we'll try and find Charlock. If we head more south, I think we're heading to Garen's Grave again. And Z-Man, our tracker, is putting up the menagerie of beasts that could be in Charlock, and their potential headache problems.
Wow, that was a very big word, Seawolf. The menagerie? Very good. Look at this one. Stone Man has stop spell and just a surprise hurt more, so that's not going to be too much of a problem.
Yeah, Snowman's pretty free. Red Dragon
Nothing
just
so
punches.
far that's had sleep, like you said. That's really the big danger.
Your possible danger right now is the werewolf with a possible ambush fire breath. So both dragons so far are just attackers, so nothing special there.
Yeah, Blue Dragon, you mentioned earlier, it seemed to just fight mostly. And by the time you're at endgame levels, their attacks are not as strong. Their attack power is significantly weaker than, let's say, the Red Dragon, which we instantly find here on the top floor of Sherlock. So even if it doesn't really have much in the way of special abilities, it's still annoying to find them all over the various zones, because they are going to be pretty hard to run from with these agility scores still.
Alright, so Zone 1 has the Golem and the Red Dragon, so basically the two strongest generic enemies in the game. Werewolves at the Fire Breath.
And just pointing out again, Seawolf, he's not attempting to win the game here. He is doing what you mentioned and actually looking for the sword in here, because there's actually 7 treasure chests in this dungeon, and there's not too many other ones that he hasn't seen, so he's kind of playing the odds and just hoping that it's going to be in here, and unfortunately for him, it won't be in here. So he will gain experience along the way. It's kind of a nice situation. He has triple-digit MP to work with. He can hurt more all sorts of monsters. So not losing too much ground in that respect, but this will be a fruitless search through the treasury. Maybe you'll pick up the fighter's ring, but that's about it.
Alrighty. AliGerBrap now heading chalk themselves. As they're heading that direction, they might grind on the way there and get level 18 if they want to. Or maybe they're thinking, I could do 124, that'd be fun.
Alright, I see a channel subscription from Rivers McCown. Very nice. Enjoy the rest of this race, and there will be lots more Dragon Warrior Randomizer over the next, 4 or 5 weeks, I think. So AliGerBrap's going to finish off the level on the way down, guys. This is most likely a dive 4 game. Let's see if he starts running into Red Dragons immediately. He has 71 agility to work with, and probably mostly 4-shotting Red Dragons with this attack power, maybe occasionally 3-shotting them. But right now he's just getting no monsters. Wow.
Yeah, now assume 124 is actually Dead Necklace equipped. That's actually there. 114 is your baseline.
Running from the werewolf. What did you say the werewolves had that was nasty?
Dragon Lord
Breath. Okay, well there you go. Picking and choosing his fights here. He only needs about 600 more experience for the next level, which means like 5 or 6 fights like this against the Star Wyvern. I guess not going for the Star Wyvern either. I wonder what exactly he's looking for. Maybe a wizard?
Perhaps. Spike tile grind, perhaps, at the very end. Trying to roll the dice in that final monster. Maybe trying to get the ring out of those chests downstairs, because the odds are now in your favor of the ring being there.
Yep. Oh, yeah, we didn't actually factor in the ring, did we? So that makes 126 attack power altogether with the Death Necklace equipped. That changes things a little bit, as a matter of fact. I would say, like, level 17 is technically doable with the fighter's ring. It would be probably you would be an underdog, but it would be possible. Totally forgot about the fighter's ring, even after we mentioned it several times.
It's possible, but now you'll be thinking you're an hour and a half into a level 1 Hurtmore seed. Why am I not done yet?
Yeah, I mean, I assume he's going to get level 18 at some point because he's so close, but just it's interesting to see here that maybe level 17 would have been possible, like if he had come in here 5 minutes ago. Vonnie is the first to the bottom floor. We'll get a chance on his screen to see what's in the treasury. And so it'll be fun to see if AliGerBrap even goes for the treasury, or if he's just strictly going to try and get the level and hope to get the stats that way.
Now we'll see this tale of 2 treasuries. If Vonnie finds the ring, they'll be very sad. If AliGerBrap finds the ring, they'll be very happy.
Yeah, that's true. Good call. And Vonnie running from a lot of enemies, still has plenty of MP to work with if he wants to grind in here. We're seeing all sorts of stuff here. Lots of empty chests. Dragon scale, I think there was a key.
3 herbs, a key, and a cursed belt.
Oh my gosh, where's the fighter's ring, guys? It's missing.
Fighter's ring is at the table.
Yep, there's one more treasure chest up on the 2nd floor, which in the original game had the Erdrick's sword. And I think we, at least from our perspective, I believe we've seen every other chest in the game now. So it has to be the fighter's ring up there. And that is going to be kind of bad news for AliGerBrap, although I assume that he's going to just get the level now anyways. No fighter's ring for you.
Now you kind of have
He'll
to.
go see what's the mini boss.
Are you down here?
He hasn't fought any monsters yet. I'm just surprised he hasn't tried to pick off some of the easy ones. We don't know anything about green dragons, at least he doesn't. And they have hurt more.
And baby heal, so not too bad.
Yeah, it took kind of a beating here, but only needs a handful of fights to get 18. You get heal walking, you're carrying around a few herbs, you can use those and conserve your MP. Red Dragon, on the other hand, it just runs from the Red Dragon like it was standing still. 71 agility, typically not a favorite to run from a Red Dragon, but no problem there for AliGerBrap, pretty nice.
AliGerBrap's gone down and dodged those dragons pretty handily, so again, the luck continues. This whole seed has been... the worst of the wear has been Vanivan, with a lot of bad encounters and ambushes. AliGerBrap's been basically unscathed by surprise monster attacks.
Closing in on 14,250 points. And closing in on the mini-boss guarding the Dragon Lord. Just doesn't seem to care that the werewolf could have the Dragon Lord 2 breath. All of a sudden the werewolf in this case is just casting Stop Spell, which will never work since Erdrick's armor repels that. Resists it? I don't know. What's the right word for that?
Yeah.
So if he kills the mini-boss here, he'll have enough for the level. So, good timing here, AliGerBrap timing it just right.
AliGerBrap or Vanivan about to get the sword.
Unless it's a Stone Man, which puts him 2 points short. Does it? Yeah. Hopefully I'm getting that right. And did Vanivan just dive the grave, Seawolf? So we have the Erdrick sword. Erdrick sword for Vanivan. And it is grind and go time. Unfortunately, he has several more levels
just 6,000
to catch up on.
6,000 points away from catching up. He'll be good to go.
2 points short, so he has to fight another Stone Man, AliGerBrap. Stone Man is a little Stop Spell happy, though, so able to do this without killing any magic for healing. Let's see what we get.
Alright.
Yeah, 6 power is definitely going to do it after equipping the Death Necklace. Put him up to 130 attack power, which gives him a range of 7 to 15 against the Dragon Lord, who can have anywhere from 150 to 165 hit points. So you're looking at usually needing about 15 attacks on average.
And he's got now full resources, so despite the red dragons in every level, has managed to dodge all of them, get down to the bottom, basically scot-free.
Yeah, this is not a sure thing, this fight, especially if the Dragon Lord 1 fight goes poorly. So he is using the herbs to try and enter the next phase of this fight with full HP in order to get an extra turn. Unfortunately, this Dragon Lord 1 is spamming the hurt more, and he is about to run out of herbs here. It's going to be somewhat close, guys, and with 73 agility, he could get ambushed by Dragon Lord 2.
There's the back attack.
He does! So he'll have to heal more out of this battle instantly on turn 1, guys. This is close now.
The DL wins the table very well for DL2 to keep them at mid-health and getting the surprise attack.
I think, he started with an 8, which is one of the worst rolls that he could start with. 10 is below average also. This actually all of a sudden is not really looking good for AliGerBrap. And remember, if he loses this fight, he will be cursed. He will respawn at the castle with 1 hit point, and he'll have to scramble around trying to find an inn to heal himself up. And then diving through Sharlock, he'll have only 111 hit points to work with, so less chances to run from Red Dragon. So see if he can pull this out. He's going to start needing some better rolls here.
Got Max there, but Dragon Lord is rolling all Fire Breath, so it's basically cutting down on chances for doubles.
Yeah, doubles are going to be hard to come by anyways with the low HP with the Death Necklace equipped. We do have 86 defense power, so he will never get hit for more than 48. Makes fighting strategy a bit easier, but oof. He's going to need some 14s and 15s, I think. I think I just saw a 7. So
yeah.
Watch for him at some point to maybe throw out a Hurtmore, guys. Hurtmore has 1 out of 16 chance to land against the Dragon Lord, and it would do about 60 damage if it lands. But that's like a desperation thing if there's no way he can get to 150 damage.
Oh,
Start to look for it. He's rolled a lot of 7s. I feel like the Hurtmores are coming, guys. And he will be cursed. Yeah, he was a pretty big favorite, all things considered, going into this fight. The Dragon Lord 1 just really messed with him on that one. Just couldn't get through that. And then the ambush. And now all the bad rolls. Just back to back to back. Poor luck. Last chance. Ugh. So the race is not over yet, guys. It's not over. Vonyvon has just recently gotten to level 16. And AliGerBrap revives with 1 hit point. He does have, he could cast 1 regular heal spell, and the Erdrick's armor will allow him to heal walk out of this situation, but ugh.
Yeah, town's not too far away.
What's more concerning is the dive now. He's going to be only having 111 hit points, so if you run into Red Dragons and you get blocked a couple times, all of a sudden, like, after 2 attacks from a Red Dragon, you might have to heal more, because you don't have all those extra HP to work with, so...
It's now becoming a risk of, if a wolf does ambush you again and breathe fire on you, you're already at danger zone. If you have a Red Dragon or Golem punch you on ambush, you're already on the back foot. So getting back with all your resources again might be next to impossible.
Yeah, just so everybody knows that's less familiar with the game too, there is another option in that, he could potentially just go back and grind another level or 2, and he could visit the town of Breckenary. And there's an old man there which will uncurse you. And basically, in this case, reverse your stats back to the way they were. So you would need another level or so, because then you wouldn't have the attack power to win. But that would be another option in theory. I'm sure it's probably not what he's going to do, because that, it'll take a little while to get the necessary levels to do that. But if for some reason he feels like he can't dive in this condition, then that would always be another option. As Vonyvon is cutting into the lead, guys. Lots and lots of Axe Knights. 10,500 points, and AliGerBrap is really not gaining experience while this is happening. He's just going to dive again.
Yeah, unfortunately, in the case of Vonyvon, also choosing the Axe Knight, so it's going to be the same amount of time grinding. Didn't choose the Armor Knight to get more per fight, but a longer walk and got to heal between them more often. So the same pace of grinding.
Yep, same kind of grind, but it's, he will make a couple of levels here in the next little while. It's like 1 more failed Dragon Lord fight, and all of a sudden, it's on. So let's watch and see if AliGerBrap can manage the dive. First of all, you pretty much have to hold on to all that MP. As we saw, you're going to use it all on the Dragon Lord fight. So let's see if the dive works out. There's plenty of Red Dragons in here. This is not over yet.
And checking with 114 MP, you're looking at, let's see, 88,
So-
96, 104. You got a few baby heals you want to.
So there's a question in chat from Any Snail. What if Ali now decides to go for the ring at the second floor treasure chest in order to get +2 attack power? How would that improve things for him?
Again, I put that in the chat. It adds 1 to the floor and ceiling. The formula is your stat of AP minus 100. Divided by half for your top damage range, and divided again in half for your bottom damage range. So if you add 2, you basically end up adding 1 to both dots. So your 7 to 14 becomes an 8 to 15.
Or, yeah. Or yep. So 7 to 15 becomes 8 to 16, yeah. Yep, and so he would be averaging, 1 damage better on every single turn, which gives him, it doesn't sound like much, but it would significantly improve your chances. In this case, it would, on average, require 1 less heal more to win the fight. So it may actually be worthwhile if he thinks of it on the way down. You have to choose that route kind of in the middle zone. There's a kind of a branchway in the path where you can go back up the stairs. It's not on this floor, but it's, I think, on the next floor. You go a different direction, go upstairs to the second floor, open that one last chest, get the fighter's ring, and then you have to come all the way back down. So there's some question about if he thinks he's in a really close race now, do you want to take the extra minute to go up and down the stairs to get that fighter's ring? That's potentially lost time while your opponent walks right past you.
You're now unfortunately stuck at you're an hour 45 into a hurt more level 1 seed. And wondering why am I not done yet?
Yeah, you're right. This was a level 1 Hurtmore seed. Oh my gosh, I forget. And you're right. An hour and 44 minutes in. Oof. So yeah, there was some exploration troubles from both players, I suppose. This took a little bit longer than a lot of Hurtmore seeds would take. And AliGerBrap, obviously, with the failed Dragon Lord fight, that's just, usually about 10 minutes lost right there, no matter what. And here is the decision. Right here, he could turn south if he wants to go up the stairs to look for the fighter's ring. And he's maybe thinking about it. Yep, he's going for the fighter's ring, guys. Interesting play. So heads up in chat. Nice from Any Snail. That's what's going on. We're going for the fighter's ring. Improve those chances. It's either that or get a whole extra level in his mind to make sure that what happened to him on that last fight doesn't happen again. So instead of getting a whole extra level, you take a minute to just grab this ring. Give him a pretty good chance if he can hold on to all this MP. Remember, there's plenty of red dragons and other nasty enemies, so especially you're going up the stairs here. You're going to go back up into the top zone while you do this temporarily, which had the red dragons. Von is like 1 monster away from level 17, guys.
The grind's on, and 17, with some luck, can be the business, but again, it's going to take all good rolls. So, and Von, again, same problem. Level 1 Hurtmore seed, right at an hour 45.
And it will mostly take something bad to happen to AliGerBrap on this dive, for him to actually be able to catch up here, but stranger things have happened. So far, he has maintained all the MP, even walking back up through the stop zone with the red dragons. Didn't seem to find any, so it's in pretty good shape here with 114 MP still in the back pocket. 2 extra attack power puts him at 132 now. We are straight green across the board for our tracking stats.
So outside of a belligerent DL1 that wants to cast Hurtmore and only Hurtmore, and a back attack, you're probably in good shape.
Yeah, and he went to the town and bought herbs too, right? So that's a heads-up play. Sometimes you forget to buy herbs for your second trip into Sharlock, so he'll be able to use the herbs just the same way that he did previously against Dragon Lord 1, trying to hope that he casts Stop Spell, or maybe he'll do a physical attack for a low number. So it's nice to have those herbs and not have to use them. He hasn't really had to use any on this dive, so he's done the best that he can to put himself in the best position to get it done on this dive here without having to get an extra level. Oh boy. We're down to 37 hit points. He's going to use the herbs. Gets away from the Stone Man. One more failed run from the Stone Man would have been an issue. Would have had to decide whether or not to burn that heal more.
It's one now, so if Stone Man swings, could be trouble.
Oh, excellent move. Just at the right time. So here we go.
Alright, round 2.
Starts off with a hurt more, naturally. Oh, there's a stop spell. So one more swing to maybe put himself into the... Yep, so now we'll start using the herbs. He's pretty confident that the next attack will take him down. So now is the time you want to hurt up. Hope he casts stop spell, but he's continuing to cast hurt more. It's a high percentage hurt more and low percentage stop spell, but when you get the stop spell, it can give you an extra turn here. He's just not getting it. Last herb, he has 2, does he have, nope, he doesn't have any extra MP, so he's got to fight through this. And let's see about the ambush here. Oh my goodness, guys.
Another ambush.
AliGerBrap with the luck is turning, Seawolf. He had all the good luck running from monsters early in the game. All of a sudden, not getting the luck on the Dragon Lord fights.
Let's see how it goes again.
The difference now is the fighter's ring. Basically, the rest of the fight has gone exactly the same way. Fighter's ring could make the difference.
Let's see the attack rolls. Let's see a 13. There's a 15, so we're getting higher damage rolls back now. So at least we're getting some damage returned.
So Von, thank you to our tracker Z-Man for revealing the total HP that's required in this case. 155, so not the end of the world. If you're in a borderline case, you sometimes will be victorious here.
It's actually kind of squishy overall, so this Dragon Lord itself's pretty low health considering the range.
Yep.
So it's not too bad.
So Von is only like 500 or 600 points away from go time. So if something happens in this Dragon Lord 2 fight for some reason, we are going to be neck and neck on the redive. But I think AliGerBrap's in a much better situation here. I've seen a lot of 13s.
AliGerBrap, roll the dice there.
Rolls here.
AliGerBrap attacked on 48.
Ooh.
That could have been bad news.
Okay. I feel like I've seen better rolls, though. I think he's got a much better chance this time.
Certainly, but he gave the Dragon Lord a chance to come back and kill them with the 48 swing. So
yeah.
they're still rolling dice.
He did. If that could have easily been it, and then we'd have like a virtually deadlocked race. Closing in on the total damage here. Still has 3 heal mores. I think he's in good shape.
Was that low swing?
Von is 1 Axe Knight away from diving into Sharlock. But down goes the Dragon Lord. AliGerBrap is your winner tonight. Let's give him a GG, everybody, as he returns to the castle, listens to the king. Here's the trumpets play. Very nicely done, and it's go time for Von. We'll see if he wants to finish this out.
Alrighty, your level 1 hurt more seed, polishing off at 151.25. AliGerBrap takes the win.
Sub 2 hours. Very nice race. Kept his nerve, made some good decisions after taking a death to the Dragon Lord, which sometimes in a race situation, that's really unnerving. You feel like all kinds of time is being lost when you fail a Dragon Lord fight. Made that decision to go get the fighter's ring. Did a nice job holding on to all the MP and was successful on the second fight. So very nice. He needs a minute or two, and then he might actually be joining us while we watch the rest of the run here.
Ready to make a run for Charlock. I imagine take a dive or two just for, posterity's sake.
Yeah, now Von also already checked the treasury, right? So he actually might know that the fighter's ring is, up on the top floors.
Possibly, but also did not dive off Garen's grave. So there's that double risk of the bottom of the grave versus the judge's table in Charlock.
Oh, didn't get the very last chest. Okay. Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see if he even goes for the ring or if he's going to try and do this fight without it, which, as we saw on the other side, was a pretty close proposition. So we'll have fun watching, seeing how that goes while we wait for AliGerBrap. Hope all these folks here at RPG Limit Break have enjoyed this one. It's definitely a fun randomizer, easy to learn and pick up. If you're interested in checking it out, I'm sure that we can point you in the right direction. All right, AliGerBrap, welcome. GG on the victory.
Thank you.
So what was going through your mind after losing your first Dragon Lord fight? You must have felt like, uh-oh, here comes Von.
Yeah, I thought I would lose for sure after that. I don't know where he is. The one thing I knew is, I checked every chest in the game, so I knew the fighter's ring was in the Eric Sword Vanilla location. I knew I would go back. It was either that or I leveled to 19, to the other level. It was to 19, and I didn't want to do that. I thought, with the fighter's ring, I had a good shot.
Yeah, I love that. It's a heads-up play, and like you said, you had seen all the other chests, so that gave you a much better chance. I think that you had a good chance on that first fight, but you had some pretty bad luck. First, the Dragon Lord 1 didn't cooperate, then you get the ambush, and then you started rolling a whole bunch of 7s. So it's like, uh-oh, we might have a redive here, but you were pretty far ahead. It took Von just a little while to cover the map in this one. It took a lot more overworld deaths than you did, so he was behind on items, and that allowed you to just extend the lead on the Axe Knight grind while he was still looking for things. So you had a little bit more of a cushion there, but yeah, it was a good idea to go get that fighter's ring, because otherwise, if that had happened again, you guys would be pretty much dead even on the third dive, because he's in the middle floors of Charlock now.
Oh, okay. Good to know. Yeah, because, there are a couple of things, because, it took me a while to find Mountain Key. My exploration was not the best, but I was able to find a lot of the towns. The only town that I was missing was Brecconary, and it was also, I was missing Mountain Cave, which had the Silver Harp, so it was needed also. So I thought I was behind, because you don't need to get done. You have to think you're behind no matter what.
So Von takes a westward turn and is going to pass up the search for the fighter's ring. Gonna try the Dragon Lord without the fighter's ring here. So it'll be fun to see how that works out. And yeah, the Mountain Cave was the thing that took you a while to get. That had the Silver Harp. You had a lot of the other items rounded up before that, and I remember it looked like you kind of went out of your way to dive the bottom of the grave, having already seen the top 3 chests earlier. Tell me about that. So were you looking for the sword specifically? I guess you still needed the harp, but I don't know if there were any, instead of looking around for the Mountain Cave at that time, you just went down into the grave.
Yeah, it was a case of I wanted to gold grind to get the Silver Shield pretty quickly, and I thought it was I knew where it was. I don't know where Mountain Cave was at the time. And since I just got keys, I wanted to check first if Mountain Cave was behind Garenham or behind Contagion, and they weren't there. So that was my second call. I was like, okay, well, if I want to gold grind, what's the best way? Because I knew there was a gold chest in the center chest, and the Tentacle Treasury. So it was pretty much just go to the place and like I knew it was there, and like I don't think the sword was the reason why I went there. It was mainly like open up the chest, since like sword was still a possibility, harp was a possibility. I don't remember if Death Necklace was there or not, and Fighter's Ring also was a possibility. So there were like a couple of good things that I could get, plus a Silver Shield at the end. So I really liked what I wanted to do there.
Yeah, that's a good call. I forgot that that was another thing that you were setting up a gold grind at that time as well, which seemed to work out pretty well, because you'll see it when you watch it. At that point, after you did the grind, you had some really good equipment, including you had just found Erdrick's sword, and Vonivon had like almost no equipment still at that time. It was like totally a big difference there, and maybe that was one of the reasons why he was dying on the overworld a bit more often. Just didn't have any equipment. Using Hurtmore pretty well, but sometimes that's not enough. He is about to take on Dragonlord, and he gets through Dragonlord 1, but without full HP, but does not get ambushed the way that you did both times. So you didn't have the luck on the ambush this time, but we were commenting, it did seem like you had some nice runaways on the overworld. You ran away from some red dragons and some different things when you still had some pretty low agility, so some of those things went pretty well for you, it sounds like.
Yeah, Erdrick is just a number, and like I remember like the races I do well. It might be stupid, but it's like I run more often. Like my agility is probably like 20 points than it should be, but like it works. I don't understand why.
So if you have a race situation like this, do you enjoy having Hurtmore on level 1, or would you rather not have it?
That's a good question. I honestly, having Hurtmore level 1, the first thing I think is like I've got to get out of the zone 0, and that's what I did, because I found a wolf, I think, and like it gave me 2 levels or so, super early. That really helped me. But like honestly, I like to grind it out, and like having Hurtmore and Healmore pretty early was made the seed pretty easy, I think.
Yeah, we were just saying at the end there, it seemed like an easy seed, and yet it took you guys an hour and 50 minutes, so something must have happened. I know you had to redive, so that adds about 10 minutes, unfortunately, but yeah, for a seed that started out so fast, all of a sudden, there was kind of a lot to do. I guess it turned out you had to get the princess, and then you had to go search for the armor, so there were a lot of extra things, and then, in your case, you couldn't find Mountain Cave. But I guess, I don't know if it was a really large map that you guys had to cover, but for some reason it just, the seed took longer than we expected. When we all saw Hurtmore level 1, we were in for, a super fast one, but didn't quite work out that way. So Vonivon's down to his last Healmore in reserve. I haven't followed the damage rolls too closely, but it's going to be close without the Fighter's Ring here. Turns out that, I think he gets a double attack there. Oh, doesn't even need it. Down he goes. Vonivon wins without the Fighter's Ring. It's going to be just over 2 hours here. Let's see what happens. And we have another raid
deal.
Coming from Couch23's channel. Thank you, welcome. What's the final time, Seawolf?
The final time in the IRC is 2 hours and 45 seconds. I do believe that Vonivon may have not done at the Death of Dragonlord, so it might not be the proper time, but we'll see about that later on.
Certainly possible, and see if I guess we're just waiting to see if he feels like joining us. Anything else that you remember about the seed AliGerBrap besides the early Hurtmore and the Dragonlord fights? What happened in the middle that was challenging?
I think the map is like a lot more challenging in 2.1.2, and that's the one thing I like. I haven't practiced a lot, but like it's maybe I think it's maybe my like 4th or 5th seed with this, because I've played other seeds but like without time, so I'm not sure how fast I'm going or not, because I'm doing a lot of things at the same time. So it's a challenging, I think, but it's still fun to play, I think.
Yeah, I agree. The maps are quite different. The latest version of this randomizer was just released a few weeks before the tournament, and yeah, brand new map generation, and they are pretty interesting and a little bit more difficult to get through. What do you think, Seawolf? Have you played too many seeds with this latest map? It's a little tricky.
It's trickier now. The rivers make the actual map divide better. It used to be big chunks of land. Continent 2s are the big deal, and Continent 2 could be a real barrier because you have to find it. And I usually had 2 or 3 things there. But the new bridges, there's so many little twists and turns now, and they've built up water between the actual continents again to get more curvy maps. So it definitely multiplies the need for mapping.
Yep, and it's not always 2 continents anymore either. It seems to be, I don't know, somebody said it's 30% chance now of a single continent. So there's a lot of ways you can get confused while you're trying to map your way through these new seeds. So it's been fun with tournament play to see like how the exploration's been going for everybody, because that's a skill in itself as far as running these games. And do we have Bonnie-Von?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right. Congrats on finishing that one out. That was it seemed a little grindy towards the end there. Guess you guys needed a lot of levels.
Yeah, I mean, attack power was a problem throughout the entire seed. Thank the Lord that we had Hurtmore to start with, because if we had, like, I don't know, stop spell instead, I guarantee you we'd both still be running right now, because, I mean, it was a problem all the way through. I feel like what did me in was all of those attempts that I made in the beginning, trying to get through the mountain cave and getting smacked down, and then also just totally blanking on the fact that there was still more territory to explore north of Tantagel. I pretty much explored everything on all other directions of it, and I spent several minutes just trying to figure out where the heck do I need to go next. And when I did figure it out, I was just like, well, let's hope that time I wasted didn't come back to bite me in the butt. And I'd see a margin of victory of a little over 9 minutes, and I would say that, yeah, it did. So had I not just completely just gone bonehead on just go north from the castle, this would have been a lot closer at the very least.
That's so funny. We were literally just before you got here just discussing how the maps have changed pretty dramatically on 2.1.2, and they're a little bit more tricky to really keep straight in your mind, making sure that you cover the whole map. So it's interesting that you say that was like one of the challenges of the seed.
The other thing that was frustrating for me was I had the rainbow drop well before I had even found Charlock. And I realized just in looking around places, I was like, how have I not seen this yet? It should be the most obvious thing to find. And I was like, boy, the longer I take to find Charlock, the even further behind I'm going to get. It didn't take me too long to find it, I don't feel like. But, all time was precious there. And I think I got to, I want to say I got to Charlock at level like 14, and I looked at my attack power, and even with Erdrick's sword, it was like right around 100, and I was like, oh goodness, this is we're in for a grind. So I realized once I got down to the Dragon Lord and I saw a stone man there with stop spell, I thought, oh shoot, I should have when I dove the Charlock treasury looking for the Erdrick sword. As soon as I didn't find it, I noped out, and I kind of wish that I would have gone and just checked the spike tile, because Stoneman with Stop Spell would have been a really nice thing to grind on, at least for a little bit. So I regret not doing that. But having the Axe Knights with Hurt there at Hawksness. I don't know if that's what Ali was grinding on as well. But to me, when I saw that, I was just like, "Yep, this is," and especially with it being so close to the castle, to Tantegel Castle, I was like, "Yep, this is where I'm gonna live for a little bit."
Yeah, and you guys both chose the Axe Knight and Hawksness, and it was a pretty long grind. You had to get all the way to 18, and yeah, a couple of the other small differences that, just because it's just the way it went for you, is that it took you kind of a while to find keys, and sort of along those same lines, you were walking around with hardly any equipment for a while because you never had keys, so you couldn't set up a gold grind, and it seemed like that caused you to take a few deaths because you just had, you had no armor, no shield for the most part. It was, I think, finding Rimuldar a little bit later was one of the other setbacks also, but that's just a matter of, which way you happen to explore. There's nothing you can do about that.
When I was doing my gold grind, because I have my own tracker that I use here. You probably saw it on my page for the restream. But I was looking at the timer, and it was just over 1 hour when I was doing my gold grind to get the equipment, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, this is way too late in the seed to be doing this if I want to give myself a viable chance of victory." So at that moment when I was just kind of processing all of that, that's when the dread kind of set in that I was like, "Yo, I don't think I have a good chance of winning this race." But then once I got to level 14, I got to Charlock, and I saw how little attack power I had. I was like, "Oh, okay, you know what? Maybe this is going to take a while for my opponent because they've got to do a lot of grinding too." So maybe I shouldn't feel so far behind. And then I want to say it was when I just left the castle and I was about to make my walk from the castle to Charlock to do my Dragon Lord dive. That's when I saw the dot done. So I was just like, "All right, well, I'll give it this one shot, and if I make it, great, and if not, then it was probably going to be a forfeit." But thankfully, I finished with one heal more to spare. I don't like to forfeit at all. So I'm glad that I was able to at least salvage something from this and get to and kill the Dragon Lord on my first try.
Yeah, I didn't get the same luck. I think it took me a second dive actually. So, but the one thing I will say about how you explored is like I did the not the same thing, but like totally a different thing. I went north instead of going south and west. So like I didn't find Mountain Cave until really late. And that was, I had pretty much done everything. I had like gold grind done, and I had my armor, I had everything. The only thing I needed was to find the silver harp.
Yeah, so when I probably, in the very beginning, obviously low level, no equipment, and there were golems, werewolves with Dragon Lord breath in the first floor. I probably made at least 6 or 7 attempts in the beginning to get to it, so wasted several minutes on deaths. But once I got in there and I discovered that there was actually a key item in there, I was like, "Oh, thank goodness! At least this wasn't for nothing. At least I didn't find a bunch of herbs and the cursed belt." Hell, at that point, I would have been happy just to find a magic key, because I already knew. Oh, okay, cool. There was towns nearby that had all 3 of the pieces of gear that I needed. So I was just like, "Please, just give me a key so I can get my gear and finally, be not so squishy." The other thing that really hurt me was that when I discovered the swamp cave, I didn't have keys yet either. And so I just took the top 3 chests and I was like, "Well, got to get out of here." And then it wasn't until after I dove the Charlock treasury that I was just like, "Well, I bet your Erdrick sword is in the grave." Luckily it was the first in the first chest beyond the door, but I would have loved to have had that a lot earlier. But again, not having keys, I was just like, "Well, can't do it. Hope there's nothing terribly important there." And sure enough, there was.
Yep. There's not much you can do about that either, because just the order in which you found it, keys were one of the last things that you had. I think you actually had the rainbow drop before you had keys, if I recall. It was crazy how that worked out. Or I guess you had all the quest items, but the rainbow drop was behind the basement, so couldn't technically get the drop without keys. But it was it was a really solid run from both you guys. It was funny how vastly different the runs were, how you both went in totally opposite ways, and that's often part of the fun of watching these things. So yeah, thanks to both you guys for running such an entertaining race for us, and good luck next week. I guess AliGerBrap, now you're 1-1, so middle of the pack. Congrats on that. And Vanivon, you're gonna have to bounce back next week with another strong run here.
Yeah, I feel I fear that the best performance that I will have in this tournament was my first week match when I gave Silverfire all they could handle in a race that I only lost by 30 seconds, and now being bumped to 0-2. I hope I don't get eliminated by week 3, but time will tell. So hopefully I'll have an opponent that is a little more down to my skill level. I'm thinking that would be nice.
Well, I mean, you guys both showed a lot of skill tonight, I think, and part of the beauty of the Swiss is that's kind of how it's supposed to work, anyways. Is that you're going to get to face against another 0-2 opponent, so you can look forward to that. Hopefully, bounce back for the later rounds. So, yeah, congrats, guys. Good luck next week. I guess later on, let's see now. Looks like tomorrow we're going to have approximately 5 races on the schedule altogether. Not sure if any of them will be on this channel or not, but we have what appears to be a 4 o'clock in the afternoon run between Concakes and Rye Guy 3745. 8 p.m. there's 2 different races going on, possibly going to be combined. We'll have to see. Moonblaze Wolf and Demarine 2. And also the rescheduled run between MTI and Lavkin will be 8 o'clock tomorrow night. 9 o'clock, we have a short Charlock flag run between Will Wagner Music and Ursine de Jour. And 10 o'clock, Amazing Toaster and Jacquemus Wedge. So plenty to look forward to for tomorrow. But this is the last race for the night. So that's going to do it, everybody. Have a good rest of your evening, and we'll see you next time.
All right, take care, folks.